Okay. Um, so today we're gonna be looking at the second game between me and Florida Man. If you haven't watched the first video, I beat Florida Man with the white pieces. Um, it was a pretty interesting and fun game, and it was a really nice checkmating sequence. But this game was a lot differently. Unfortunately, you can see the result of the game if you know how to read chess, but it is okay. Um, this was sort of a less interesting game than the other one, but at the same time, it was a good inning game, and there was some pretty crazy stuff that happened, especially towards the end. And it is a chess.com coach again, and it does say if you go to his profile, it'll say he only does end games for chess coaching. Yeah, coach. He's been playing for a long time, a lot longer than me, so it is very fun to have the opportunity to play him and play well. So he went for d4. Seems like very much like a d4 player. He likes positional stuff, but yeah, this is where me being me. This was an important game because I played e5. I was taking this game seriously. This is the England Gambit, which is just a bad opening. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's not good, but I like to play it for surprise value. First of all, you can take opponents out of prep very fast with the England Gambit, and there are just some lines that uh, I've gotten good use out of. I've gotten good attacks on the king side, good attacks on the queen side out of England Gambit. I've had fun games. I've also had some bad games, but I don't think it's completely useless, and I like to show people that your opening repertoire and stuff doesn't determine how good you are. Um, So yeah, play England Gambit. Takes the pawn, and I go for not the more main line, which would be attacking the pawn, defend pawn, uh, double attack, and it goes into this whole sequence. But instead I play my own little variation, even though it's not mine. This is studied, obviously. And he does take, so I do get the developed bishop and an open d file and e file in exchange for being down a pawn. Uh, computers will obviously say this is bad, but game goes on. Um, Mostly we just develop pretty normally. I castle here, uh, nothing too glamorous. Uh, kind of have a double pin going here. I'm pinning, he's pinning. Uh, and Engine was saying, white plus point 0.5 to point 0.8 here. Can't really remember, but it's a pretty normal game. He kicks. I just drop back. I can't decide. Yeah. I think he could have went for this, but then I just get to go here. I kind of want the king side to be a little bit overextended. His king's not fully safe yet, so I understand why he wouldn't go for g4 and he didn't. He just kind of blocks the pin. Pretty normal move. Uh, So I actually had an opportunity to grab initiative here with the move h6, because the bishop kind of has to take if it drops back. Like if bishop goes here, um, there's this move, and then when the bishop goes here, I can trade, and even just trade in this endgame and try to exploit this weakness with a move like knight to e4. Pushing it, that square just still is a home for my knight. So, but I didn't go for that in the moment. I was more worried about development. I just developed my knight. Oh, well, it's. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess I did go for this here. I should have went for g5 here, my bad. I didn't mix up the move orders in my head, but yeah, this was the moment where I need to go for g5 instead of knight here. But I didn't. I went for the other route. I went knight c6 to develop, but very luckily he doesn't really realize what I'm going for. He just, which was just a weird move, even though Engine really said it wasn't like awful, awful. Like it said it was like an inaccuracy, I think. I just don't really. I guess he's afraid of the knight jumps in, but I don't have. I guess the bishop can always come to reinforce, but it just feels like there's ways to stop that. It's like a wasted motion. So, but it's good to see his play focused on the side of the board that I was not focused on, because I do end up going for these trades. I wrongly trade the bishop. Apparently, the reason I traded the bishop was just to get pieces off and exploit the future weakness here. I thought, I don't know, the position was kind of stale anyways. He's playing very solid. We might as well head into something that is, I guess, more up his alley, but gives me chances to attack a weakness. So when he takes, I do play this, and now he does take, weakening my pawns, but it negates the bishop pair. I gave up the bishop pair here. He has the bishop pair. So when I saw this, I wasn't too disappointed. So when I take here, take, we completely transform the game into an endgame. But I do get this move, knight to e4, attacking the pawn. And at this point, the engines are already saying pretty much zeros. So I've done my job with black, with the England Gambit against the chess coach. Uh, it's not something I can really complain about up to this point in the game. Accuracies are pretty high, and there isn't really bad moves until later in the game, like way later. Um, I was surprised to see in the game. I was nervous about this move takes here to pressure this, but apparently moves like this, and white's king is just a little getting tickled too much, and this pawn will fall with a move like here. So when you go here, um, it's not too much of a burden. Um, but yeah, he didn't go for that in the game. He just went king here, which was the best engine move, trying to get the king off of the back rank, get his knight developed, get his rooks connected. This is a good move, but I just take the pawn. I capture what I had lost since move 1 of the game, and the game continued. He went rook to e1, I believe, and here the engine really wanted rook a to e1. It's kind of a hard move to play. In hindsight, it makes sense to just maybe start pushing the f pawn, but yeah, I went rook to the other rook to e1. It makes more sense wanting to occupy both rooks on maybe the two most valuable files in my position. But yeah, engine didn't really approve. Just it was like, hey, the other way was better. But oh well. He develops his knight finally. I pushed my pawn. I wasn't sure whether going rook d8 was really the right option. It just felt like it was gonna get met, and it didn't really serve a huge purpose there. And I was kind of wondering whether pushing the a pawn could give the rook some sense of dual purpose, maybe wanting to lift up this way. That was kind of my whole plan. He attacks it, I just push it again, and yeah, so then I think, yeah, he slides his rook over, and here I make a big mistake according to the engine. I can test the file, takes, and I think the engine's point is it really wanted this, and it says, you know, you can play a move like this to get rid of this pawn, and then you can just snipe off these two pawns, and your pawns are ready to roll. My pawns might be a little slow on this 3-on-3, trying to get my king up here, and my king and my knight are really far away from over there. So it makes sense when explained, but sometimes that's not exactly what you're thinking. He trades, and jumps his knight here to attack the pawn. Very fine move, makes sense. I just defend the pawn. So far, nothing really crazy's been going on, but it gets a little crazy. He contests the rook. He just wants to really go after this pawn. I defend my rook with my knight, And though actually the purpose of this is to go here, here, forcing this knight to move. If you take, I check, take. And I'm actually starting to win now because I have a huge majority on the king side, and it's just ready to fly, and a knight here to help support. So yeah, you can't really take the rook, and he doesn't. Yeah, I'm also threatening a fork on the king and rook with this move. A very nice knight move, and of course the engine's like, it wasn't the best move, but it makes very much sense. So he defends, I attack the knight, trying to kick it out from attacking my pawn annoyingly. He moves it back, double attacking versus double defending. His king is a bit closer though to the pawn. I retreated my knight. I think that knight was it's very dangerous, I guess, and I'm afraid because it's here, the prospect of these two moves to pick up this pawn are always basically on the horizon. I think Engine even supported this move, and still up to this point, there really have been almost no major issues. There's been some inaccuracies and times where there were better moves, but for the most part, a pretty clean game. Still saying zeros at this point. The king moves up, and trying to think. Yeah, I think I go f5 here. I think it's still saying zeros and good moves. And then it was right. Goes there. I bring my king up. Oh, I pin first. Yeah, he hits my rook and my pawn here. But when he does, I can just pin. He also hits this pawn. But now I pin to the king, and when he goes here, now I can move my king to protect this. It really wanted this move. I mean, it wasn't a significant advantage, but like half a point. And I think it's just, it doesn't want any rook sliding over the pin a pawn, which makes sense. I thought if we went here, I could just go here. But yeah, it could have maybe been met by that. I don't know, tough to say sometimes. But yeah, he goes here in the game. I think he wanted to avoid any of this, and also just wants to look at this second rank. It's useful, and my rook can't easily infiltrate. I just push pawn. I figured it's good to get my majority going, even if it's a little bit. I kind of didn't know what to do. It's not a bad little move. Knight comes back, and here this was a mistake. Basically, it wanted me to play g4, h4, maybe bring my king up, but instead I went for a weird approach. I went rook here, and my plan with this is after takes, which happened, takes, I can start bringing my king up, maybe even win this pawn, and just start pushing p. But what I didn't realize is that, yeah, I'm pretty sure this was a great move. When I go here, he's ready to win this pawn, more importantly. Because when he wins this pawn, all he has to do is move and go. My knight is going to have to travel long distances to get over there to stop it, if it even can. So, at this point, I've already messed up. Yeah, I think this was just to temporarily delay the king. He actually found the only good move in the position here, having to get rid of this thorn in your side. Yeah, I guess the reason for this is to make it, I don't even know, really. Yeah, I think it's just a bad move in general. But, I go here, and now he has an interesting way to win here. First of all, there's knight here to go here and even go back. And it just feels like I'm doing nothing. Can even go here and then start pushing. And it's probably good for white, or at least drawing at the bare minimum. But what he needed to do, and this is just an instant win, these are the two winning moves, and it's a4. Because if I go here to sacrifice and do this, this is drawing. But the move here is this. after I play the knight here to play the knight back, because now my knight is under attack. If I, let's say I defend, you just take, push. And if I move it, just taken, it can't take the pawn. If the knight moves, the knight goes. So yeah, that was winning completely. I would have had to take the knight, and after this, try and somehow take that pawn, but I don't even think it really would have worked. Yeah, but in the game, we got something completely different here that I wasn't expecting. An opponent just completely blunders. He sacrifices his knight, somehow justifying my pawn push to c5. When I take, his plan has come very clear. Go, 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 make a queen. And yeah, I'm actually completely winning with moves like g4 here. I think even f4 is winning. But yeah, g4 wins because when you push, it looks like, oh, you won't have enough time. But like if you actually watch, there's like I think it says to take, but if you want the visual representation, like well, you have to take here. The reason why it's so winning is because I take here, 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 and you queen first, but I queen with check, and I have a knight. And yeah, this long term is just gonna be winning, especially if I can just pick up this pawn and keep this pawn defended and keep my king somehow safe. These pawns are slow. The king's in front of it. This is just winning, you know. But I didn't go for this. I got too afraid. If I would have just sat down and calculated a little bit, I actually probably would have been able to come up with just pushing p and winning this pawn. But yeah, I decided to try to save the game with my knight, and I thought it would have been silly not to use my knight at all to try and win, but it ends up being pretty silly. But I do end up getting to a spot, like I did calculate very deeply down these knight maneuvers, even though Engine really hates the past, like two of the past three moves it hated. But I did have a good plan here. He's pushing, but here was a great move, king over, and you'll see why, because when he does push pawn, now I get my knight here, stopping it from promotion pretty much indefinitely unless the king comes down and wins this pawn. So that's what he does. He goes down to win the pawn, but now because I slid my king over here, I can grab this pawn, and when he grabs it, my king slides in. Better square than either of these. If I think if I go like to here, the king can go here and maybe start trying to eat those pawns up, and it would just be a dead certain draw. Like for example, if I was to go here, opponent could go here, and like yes, I am gonna end up winning this pawn, but at the cost of all these pawns over here, and now I just have to come over and try and defend against a 3 on knight, a known draw. If anyone's playing for a win here, it's white. Why go into that? Here, this way, this square is cut off. This square is cut off too from the knight. I was sort of surprised he didn't go into some like this, but actually looking back at it, it was not a good idea. So instead he pushes his pawn here, and this received the first blunder of the game, other than his knight sacrifice, which was pretty weird too. I'm completely winning here, and I do find the right move. And the move is H. Like when you see these pawns here like this, you have to think of a way for your pawns to break through and to do, like if I was to go here, he can just go here. If I ever push, it just gets taken, and then he's pushing. So you kind of can do it by process of elimination. Now what if he goes here? You say, okay, but now takes, you know, this way it doesn't look so terrible, but the reason you can't really go for this is this pawn starts, like even if you now he has this pawn. It's kind of annoying, actually. You might win the queen race. I guess I'm doing something wrong here. Yeah, well, first of all, he wouldn't take. He would just shut it down. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't even know why I was even showing that. Like, so, yeah, you can't play this because of this. It just locks. And, if you play here, it just doesn't really make any sense why give him a pawn. So when you go here and here, you can go here. And this is winning the race. I honestly can't even, I think he takes in the, oh yeah, if you take, you can play here. Again, winning the race if you want to calculate it out. And that's actually what ended up happening in the game, but this is wrong. This is wrong. It looks so right because this is exactly what the position was in the game. I queen first, I get to move, I get the check right here. But there's a big difference actually. What you should go for is this one. Because if you take, I take. Isn't it the same? Before there was a pawn right here, and this pawn actually gets in the way of a lot of like checking opportunities, and it just gets in the way, and you can't afford to not play a move that's not a check in this position. So, and there's other lines going along with this, like they can take, but again, this is gone. If they take here, you don't push, you take. You win the pawn. But yeah, in the game, I did go here, takes, and then we go into the push race, and this was the position, finally. And an interesting position, it's my move. I figured it was a draw, and it was. I did some calculating, and I have one check in the position. I mean, I guess I have three, but these two are kind of off limits. So I have to go here, and that's what I did. So now the king has, what is that? He has two options. He can go here, or he can go here. If he goes here, which is, once I calculated, I could instantly tell it was a draw because he just slips away. Doesn't really matter. I can't exploit the king. I have to babysit this pawn. This queen's gonna start checking my king all over the place, probably until perpetual, and I just didn't really feel like going into this. If it went into this, I probably would have just requested a draw. But instead, he does go here in the game. And I was very surprised because this gives me the opportunity to go here. And like if he was to play a move like this, uh-oh. Not only are you losing it, but you are losing this pawn and the game. So, and if he goes, let's see, if he was to go here, I get this king. Yeah, and then any which way it goes, the game ends. So, yes, after he goes here, he is forced to go here. And I get this check. And here's where I really messed up. He has to go here if the king, first of all, can't move anywhere else, actually. But, yeah, this is where I messed up. Of course, looking at this. But, with this, first of all, there's this move. And all of a sudden, it's like I can't attack the king anymore. You can throw in this move, but the king's somehow slipping out. The queen's defending enough. So yeah, I wanted to go here because if the king went here, I have this, and if the king goes here, I have this. So it has to go here again. And what I wanted the play was this move because now the queen has three checks here, here, and here. And when I move the queen here, it blocks this important check. Oh, it blocks this important check because, yeah, just gets in the way. And now if it's to go here, I have this. Or if it goes here, I have this. But surprisingly enough, it wasn't mating because I can't move the knight. Like if I could move the knight, it probably would be mating. But the king just slips away. Like I can't checkmate it. I can't move the king because checks. And it's all sorts of annoying. I'm just stuck with the same problems. Like the queen's just gonna keep checking my king forever. So yeah, I couldn't really go into this line, and so I offered a draw. In one of these positions here. Yeah, I think we did repetition, but I actually left a win on the board. I missed. I was so enamored by this idea that I just missed that. Instead of going back to here, I check here. And when he goes here, I go here because this gives me access to c6. Or, how did it go? Yeah, he still can't go here. When he goes here, now I have this. Yes, the queen goes from here, important, to here. Oops, it goes from here to there to here. And then when it moves back, it drops all the way back to here. So when he goes here, I can get this queen c6 in, and the game would have been over. But I missed it. So, yeah, that's my game against the chess coach. Ends in a draw. The final position was, what? I don't know. Something right here. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I left a win on the board. But, it was a pretty interesting game. We had around 78% accuracy. I was happy for the most part with the way I played. I should have been more cognizant of this A pawn idea earlier and realizing when the times to push my majority, because I did have times and I was just thinking about other things. And then when I wanted to push my majority, I would look and be like, I can't yet. And then it felt like a couple moves later when I could, I wasn't thinking about that. So just need to be more on my P's and Q's, calculate more intensely. And this is really what gets you wins. If I had calculated more intensely against this opponent, I would have won this game. And that's for sure. And also important to note that this game stems from the England Gambit, and I had many chances to win. Speaks volumes against the chess coach. So, yeah, I think I got afraid when he sacked the knight. In all reality, it was just an awful move. Like, I just need the push here. But instead, I'm getting afraid. He's a chess coach. Oh, he's an endgame specialist. I don't know what to say other than you just need to kind of forget that and play a game of chess and not the opponent. So yeah, good game though. It was fun. I'm glad to have gotten the opportunity. I ended up against Florida Man, 1 win, 1 draw. So no complaints. Hopefully you guys learned something from the video if you watch.